I'm Darianna Everett. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, artist, and RAC graduate. Today, we are going over the gate expander limiter. Let's go. You will often find combos of gates, expanders, limiters as hardware or plugins. You can also have a compressor and limiter together. We are gonna go over and explain what each of these components are. What is a limiter? A limiter is like a compressor, but with a very high ratio, which creates a very hard ceiling, meaning that anything above the threshold will be cut severely. Here are some parameters you'll have on a limiter. Threshold, the chosen point at which the limiter starts acting. Release is how quickly the signal stops being limited. And output ceiling, the very limit of the volume out. Things to know. You'll really want to have a very controlled dynamic range before running anything through a limiter, as it can create a lot of clipping and unwanted artifacts if not used correctly. You will want to use a limiter too, to boost and test a mix at a louder volume, comparable to like what a master might sound like on a master channel, on a kick or even a bass you are trying to control, and create a ceiling of dynamic range. What is a gate? So gating is the process of using the dynamic threshold as an on-off trigger. The simplest form would be with gain. With everything below a certain decibel level, remember decibels, dBs, will have its gain automatically set to 0. So basically anything below the threshold becomes inaudible. This is called a noise gate, and this is often used by producers to not let background sounds get through the mix. I will show you what a gate is. Here is the regular camera audio, and what we're going to do is we are going to gate it to my voice. So we're going to put my voice as the threshold, and then between every word, it will cut out any unwanted frequency. So it works actually kind of like a gate. So it opens and closes. Typical parameters on a gate. Threshold, the dynamic point at which the effect is triggered. Attack, how fast the effect is applied. Release, how quickly the effect is turned off when the signal goes below the threshold. You'll use this if you want to control noise or bleed. Bleed like as in a drum kit, you're hearing in different microphones, all of the different drums, maybe a snare mic, you'll want to have it be gated to the snare so you won't get the overhead sound in the snare. It'll be a very clean sound. Or to even shorten the length of your audio. What is an expander? Expanders are helpful dynamic processing tools that increase the dynamic range of the audio. They are essentially the opposite of a compressor, which decreases the dynamic range of the audio signal. Similarly to the relation between compressing and limiting, an expander is a less severe version of a gate. You have the same parameters as a gate. However, you also have an extra ratio and range to help you control the increase of the dynamic range. You will use this to have a more subtle natural gating. So for instance, we take the microphone from the camera. Hello, it is horrible sounding. And we are going to do a full gate. We see this is kind of harsh. You hear the noise when I'm talking. It's gross. But with the expander, we really have it feel a little bit more subtle, a little bit more soft, and then that natural noise floor that we're having, so it's the low signal at the bottom that we're getting, that will be a little bit more consistent, so it won't be so obvious that we are gating. There are times to use either or, so you just have to use your discretion. Here's a pro tip. Try and push each parameter until you hear it, and then pull it back to really learn how each parameter is affecting the sound. And notice how every single sound source will react differently to an expander, limiter, and gate. So here's a way to get creative. We're going to use Phil Collins. One thing he is very famous for, and let's say the 80s are very famous for, is a gated reverb. Very, very fun. You have an awesome drum fill, and then you'll have a snare, and the snare will have this awesome reverb on it. However, it's going to be, instead of just, we then have it gated, so it'll go, and it'll stop. So it's pretty fun. So here's an actual audio example rather than me using my mouth. We're gonna have a snare, and then we have a cute reverb, and then we gate it. All right, so that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this really helps you with exploring gates and expanders and limiters and gives you some ideas as to how you can use these tools in your mix. You might not use them on every mix, however, they're great tools to know how to use. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!